guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a declutter of my larger eyeshadow palettes. I was inspired by another YouTuber who talked a lot about curating your collection and how she likes having a smaller collection where she can really see everything and love and use everything she has. I really do enjoy all of these eyeshadow palettes, but I want to keep the ones I only truly love and cherish. So I thought I would do a declutter into a box. I want to do this with all sections of my makeup collection and see what I truly really love and see what it feels like to have a smaller collection with things that I really love. Because I am a little bit unsure of what it would be like to declutter things that I like and enjoy but don't love, I thought decluttering into a box would be a good compromise. So I'm going to declutter things that I'm not sure about into a box and keep it in my closet for a while and see if I really truly miss it. I can always pull things back out if I feel like I want to keep it or use it, but the test will be to see what I really don't miss from my collection. So let's just get started. Most of the palettes are in frame, a couple of them you can't see, but let's just start with this one right here. This is the Kathleen Lights Zodiac palette with ColourPop. This is one of my newest eyeshadow palettes, and I'm really enjoying playing with this. So this one I would say would go into my keep pile as something I really truly love right now. I love the variety of colors and the quality of the shadows is very great. I think this palette inspires me to do different creative looks. So this one I'm going to keep. The second palette I have here is another ColourPop palette. It's the All I See Is Magic shadow palette. This was their Christmas palette from a couple of years ago. When I first saw this palette, I thought it was would be like my perfect neutral yet colorful palette. Well, I do like a lot of the shades. I find it's hard to create a look with. And a lot of the colors are pretty dark, which I don't really like personally on myself. I could see myself depotting some of my favorite colors in the future and arranging them in a way that I can use them like shadows in a single palette. But for now, I am going to put this into the declutter box. The next palette is another ColourPop palette. This is the Had You At Hello palette. This is another one I thought I would get a lot of use out of. I really like the mauve tones, but there's something about this palette that just doesn't inspire me. There's a lot of beautiful shimmers, but overall, it just seems a little bit dull. I have been trying to force myself to use it, and I enjoy it when I use it, but I don't love it. The only shade that I really love is this shade right here as a brow bone color. Again, this is something that I might consider depotting and treating as singles and decluttering them later with my single shadows. But for now, this is also going into the declutter box. The next palette I have is another ColourPop one. It's the Dream Street and Kathleen Lights. It's really pretty neutral palette. And I do like that it has pops of blue and this bright kind of corally color. But again, this is just something that I haven't gotten that much use out of. The quality is very good, but it's just, I don't create looks with this that are truly my style. So again, this is going to go in the declutter bin. The next palette I have is another ColourPop palette. This is the first one I got, and it's the Cute AF palette. Actually, it's called Yes Please. It just says that on the front. This palette I really do truly love. It is something that I don't reach for year round, but I really appreciate having this in my collection, and I think it really brings a variety into my collection. I love how extreme the warm tones are, and the quality is very good. So this is one that I want to keep. I'm gonna move you guys a little bit closer. Okay, let's start with this one next. This is a Lorac Pro 2 palette. It looks like this. I liked it because it had a lot of cool tones that I didn't have in my collection. But I really don't like the quality of the shimmers on here. And I find that if I'm reaching into this palette, it's only for one of the mattes and just as a random single. I think that I'm going to put this in the declutter palette, the declutter box. It's just not something I'm using or loving. The next palette I have is another ColourPop palette, and it's the My Little Pony palette. I love the packaging on this. This palette has a lot of fun shades, and I love the color combinations in it. Again, it's one that makes me really inspired to do different and colorful looks. Again, the quality is very, very nice on this. So I am going to keep this palette. The next palette I have is my Too Faced Chocolate Bar. This is my palette that I'm trying to pan for this year. It's a very neutral palette, but I really love the quality of the shades, especially the mattes. And I really like having this as a go-to palette to create a look around. I can use the mattes in this palette and just get a really easy everyday look. And I can also bring in a single shadow if I want to change the look up a bit. I am also keeping this because it's my palette that I'm trying to pan this year. But I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm getting a lot more use out of it than I was before, and again, I'm really surprised at how much I'm enjoying this. So I'm going to keep this palette. The next palette is the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar. When I first got this palette, I thought it might be one of my favorite Too Faced palettes. But again, it's something I haven't really gotten that much use out of. When I use this palette, I feel like I'm struggling to find a lid shade that I like. I like a shimmer shade. And while I like these two colors, especially Bonbon, it's just not a shade that I want to use super regularly. I really do, again, like some of the mattes in here. Like I like this Nougat shade, and I like actually this pink sugar shade, even though everyone else doesn't. And I also enjoy Rum Raisin. But I don't know, it's just something I feel like I'm not getting a lot of use out of, and I might not need in my collection anymore. So this is a hard one for me to put in the declutter box, but I think I'm going to put it there for a while and see what happens. The next Too Faced palette I have is the Chocolate Bonbons. I really enjoy this palette. I love that it's cooler tone in nature. It has two beautiful lid shades that I can use every day. I really love this Cafe au lait and Molasses Chips, as well as some mattes that I can use. And I also like the cream shade and the highlight shade. I also like that it has a couple pops of fun, unique colors. This is one that I want to keep in my collection. The next Too Faced palette I have is the Sweet Peach. Everyone loves this palette, but it's not really my cup of tea. For some reason, though I like peachy tones, I'm just not super satisfied with the ones that are in this palette. It has some darker purple shades, which I don't really care for either. And I feel like most of the transition shades are pretty warm and they're not really my cup of tea. So because of this reason, I'm also going to put it in the declutter pile. Though I find myself maybe wanting to try to experiment with this more in the spring or summer. So we'll see what happens with it. But for now, I'm putting it in the declutter box. The last Too Faced palette I have is one of their holiday releases. It's the Best Year Ever. This palette is really, really nice quality. I also love the face products at the bottom. Although I'm a little overwhelmed by the amount of shadows in here. There are some shades that I really enjoy. And though I haven't used this a ton, I like that it comes with 12 different looks to give you some ideas. And I thought I might put this in the declutter pile, but now that I'm looking at it, I think I want to play with it some more. I really like some of the mauve tones and the shimmer shades, and I especially love this Unwrap Me color. So for now, I'm going to keep this one. The next palette I have to talk to you about is this BH Cosmetics Festival palette. This was one that I got last summer, and I got it because I really liked all the different colorful shades. But again, this is something I'm not finding that I'm getting a lot of use out of. There's some really fun tutorials with it on Instagram though. I think it's because of the arrangement of the colors that I find it hard to use. I bought this palette because I wanted some more colorful shadows, and it was an affordable way to get them instead of buying them as singles. But I honestly think I would get a lot more use out of this palette if I depotted it. For right now, I'm going to put it in the declutter pile and maybe depot it in the future. This next palette is the Last Color Pop palette. It is from the Disney Designer Collection, and I really love the packaging on it because I love everything Disney. This is what it looks like. It's a nice neutral palette. Although, again, this is something I haven't gotten a lot of use out of. I really want to try to use this some more because it does have some unique shadows to my collection. I really like the Enchanted Rose and Poison Apple, as well as Fairy Godmother. I also really do like some of the mattes. Where I thought I might put this in the declutter bin, I think I actually want to hang on to this and try to get some more use out of it. So for now, I'm going to put this in the keep pile. The next palette I have is the Juvia's Place palette. It's the Saharan 2. This might be my favorite Juvia's Place palette. I really just love the color scheme. So because of this and the quality, I'm going to put this in the keep pile. The next Juvia's Place palette is the newest one to my collection. It's the Magic Mini. I love that the pan sizes are smaller in this. And I love a lot of the cooler tone rose down at the bottom. Although I'm not getting a lot of use out of the shades at the top. I definitely want to use this some more, but I really do think I would get more use out of this if I depotted it and used them as single shadows. For now, I think I'm going to put this in the declutter pile and maybe depot them. The next palette I have is the Masquerade Mini. Again, I like the small pans in this palette. I really love the bright colors of this palette. I don't get that much use out of the bottom two rows. The shimmers are just kind of generic, and most of the mattes are pretty dark for me. but I really do love the 2 rows as is, and I think it challenges me creatively. So for now, I'm gonna keep this in the keep pile. The next palette I have is my only Tarte palette, and it was a limited edition palette, and it looks like this. I really love all the shimmers in this, and although it's my only basically all shimmer palette, I love to reach into this just for a lid shade, and I really do like the one matte shade. I'm going to keep this in my collection. This next palette is the Sultry palette by ABH. I have really enjoyed this palette. I like that it has the different cool tones, and I can get lots of different lid colors with all the shimmers. I even kind of like that it has the bright pop of color and a little bit of warmth over here too. So I'm going to keep this palette in my collection. The next palette is the ABH Norvina palette. I love the color scheme in this palette, and I'm definitely still having fun playing with this. So I'm definitely going to keep this in my collection as well. The last palette I have is a Soft Glam from ABH. When I first got this palette, I really loved it. Now I'm not getting that much use out of it, mostly because of how warm toned it is. I like some of the shimmers, but some of the shimmers are not my favorites either. Some of these more glittery ones. I honestly think that for now, I'm going to put this in the declutter. It just hasn't been something I want to reach for. Although it's very hard because I love the quality and I thought I really did love this palette, I'm getting a lot more enjoyment out of the other 2 palettes that I have. So for now, I'm going to put this also in the declutter box. Let's take a look at my declutter box. I have this palette that I might depot, as well as this one. And then I put the Soft Glam, the Sweet Peach, the Too Faced Semi-Sweet, and the Lorac Pro. The ColourPop Dream Street, the You Had Me at Hello, and again, another palette where I might depot some shades. So far in the declutter pile, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think that's pretty good, and it's a really drastic declutter for me. Though I still am going to allow myself to pick something out if I feel the need to. Let's look at my keep pile. This is what my keep pile is looking like, and I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing. I kept 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Although it's still a lot of palettes, they're definitely things I feel like I want to reach into. And now that I have less in my collection, I feel less overwhelmed, and I think I can get more use and love out of the things that I really want to keep. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I plan on doing more declutters in the future. So I will see you next time. Bye guys!